The morning's got his fingers on the curtain, creeping in, saying, "I know you're not asleep, Alison. Don't pretend that we are strangers to these early hours." She doesn't mind. She feels like, even though the neighbours aren't awake yet, the day's still rising with her, holding her head up in the shower, slipping knots into her laces. And she's not been racked with worry for 3 days now, and that's got to be some sort of record. And every time she feels a thought creeping in, chasing around her head like a Pac-Man ghost, she treads harder on the pavement, turns her face further into the wind, chooses another terrace-lined hill to call her Everest, then makes it to the top as the morning's breaking in. She follows those streets around Tudor Road like a racetrack labyrinth. She sees the same faces and the same strangers, the not been to bed yet students ending their night at 5 and the ones whose working days start at that time. And she can see how much sleep they've had from the lines that are around their eyes. And she used to run to work her head out, but now she's turning it into something good. She misses her mum so much, she never gives herself any slack, so she's going to run that marathon on Vicky Park next week carrying her mum's name on her back. And next door, Jacob is 8. And for the moment he's awake, there's a burst in his chest like a bear claw, and he can't keep his feet still under the table, and it rocks with the swing of his trainers. And his mum's saying, "We're not leaving till that's eaten. Olympic athletes can't train if they're starving." So he forces down those wheaty spoons, watches his jaw circling his reflection on the kitchen window, and then at 10 past he is out and down the drive, banging on the car door before his mum's even made it through the hall, saying, "Oh, come on, Mum, I don't want to be late." And she shoots him a look like, "Don't you dare wake the neighbours," just as the woman from number 28 runs past. Then they're in the car, on their way to Braunston Leisure Centre, and at that time he's not even swimming, he just likes watching the teenagers train. The ones where tiredness is not an option, where everything comes behind beating your best time, and he can't wait to be one of them, so when it's his turn, he's got his armbands on, he's kicking and splashing to the other side, and he's only on wits for the moment, but his teacher says if he keeps practising this hard, he'll be on to lengths by next week. And then someone shouts that it's time to get out, and he is dry in 10 minutes and on his way to school. His mum lets him cycle alone. He doesn't know she's following in the car just behind. At his school, in the year just above, Aisha sits, patient and nervous. She knows this is a big day, and when her name is called, she's allowed to get on the bus that's headed for Saffron Lane. She spent the weekend training, pegging it from one side of the lawn to the other, the dog, blinded by excitement, tongue out, lolloping beside her, but he couldn't keep up with Aisha. And on the bus, she sees the racetrack getting closer, sees the other kids already there, and she's imagining that this is the Olympics. Her mum is at home, watching her on the telly, and when she steps off the bus, she is ready. In the big school just behind, Adam hears the shouts from the primary race day trail through the window as he's having his lunch. He doesn't sit alone anymore, the other kids aren't scared of him so much. His table is full of backslaps and banter, but he doesn't join in with that any longer. He doesn't need it for the attention, he doesn't crave that feeling of riding the wave, getting carried away until it comes crashing down on him with a fight. He joins in the chat, then slips quietly out the corridor down to the gym. Because recently, Mr. Gregory's been making some allowances for him. He says that he doesn't approve of fighting, but he can see that it's doing him some good when it's controlled and disciplined and when he knows how to rein it in. Because see, there used to be days filled with the punches of sarcasm and slow claps, and Adam used to snap back and tell them they could all just get lost and get out, and then he'd look for anything to attack. Walls and doors, teachers and pinboards, but he doesn't do that anymore. Now he holds it like fire, like the eye of Sauron in the pit of his belly, and then he sees every misspelt word and red pen cross in the punch bag's frown. He goes at it, expert and intently, until the burning's been doused and the flame's gone out. And now he likes the days that don't mistrust his shadow in the classroom doorway. The days they let him stay despite 1 or 2 slip-ups, because he thinks maybe they are starting to trust that he is trying to make this up every crack in the plaster, because now he's going to after-school clubs. They've even let him in the rugby team so long as he promises to save his temper for when he's wearing the gloves. His little sister Yasmin spends her lunchtimes a little differently. Grit grey's knees and shin-high white socks, she's on the steps in the playground giving it all that she's got. Arms up and out, air mites to her face, slow kicks and twists and jumps to beach her imagination's making up. And it is not 2:05 on a wet Tuesday afternoon, but way past her bedtime on some London stage, and she is leading the way, showing her backing group how it is done. And then a ball flies past and she's out of it like it never really mattered in the first place. Tearing up to the top playground, no fear of tripping, because Mum says when Sam tells everyone that girls are rubbish at football, the only thing to do is to prove him wrong. And she's been promised a special late bedtime tonight. And she looks forward to these evenings so hard sometimes she gives herself tummy ache, because since Mum and Dad split up, this is the only time her and Dad get to be just the two of them. With 3 siblings, it can be difficult to be one-to-one sometimes, so her and Dad turn up, get a burger first, then she has an orange juice and he has a beer, and they take their first sips as the whistle goes for the kick-off. And Yasmin feels the roar and the hope cover her like Harry Potter's invisibility cloak. She can forget the bad bits for a while, clench her toes up in her boots, watch the ball slice through the air, and there are so many so close but too far moments, and she sighs when the score favours the other side, but never minds, because in every one of these nights it's 1-0 to her and Dad's. See, that net or hall or line or pitch is one of the only places it doesn't see the differences, doesn't notice what language is shouting for the ball so long as it understands the rules. It makes heroes out of teenagers who in the classroom think they failed, who in schools, in parks, in shops and on buses are made to feel like they don't fit in or stick out or got it wrong again and again and are never told you are brilliant. You did something amazing today. Whether that's making it around the block without getting out of breath and having to stop, or swimming your first length, or winning a gold medal, or showing strength at 5 a.m, drinking orange juice with your dad and watching your home team lose, clenching your toes up in your boots when you're practicing in the dark, or just copying every move at the back of your mum's Zumba class. And all over this city, there are children who don't have stories of how sport changed their lives, but who live for the bell at 3 and pray not to hear the final whistle at 5. There are young people for whom those 2 hours are the only reason they make it out of bed and to school on time, because racing and kicking and passing and dancing at -5 on the shortest day of the year is the most invigorating part of their week. Maybe they don't shout out, maybe you rarely hear them speak. But whereas some kids have books and some have computers, some can make and paint and draw on sticks, and have singing voices and card tricks and can do sums in their heads like 27 million times 76.5. There are those quieter heroes who need to move to feel alive.